It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is also day 259. Damn girl fine. Let's see what the first card of the day is. It is Riss the Redeemed from Shadowmoor originally. This is a green-white hybrid, just 1 mana for a 1/1 legendary elf warrior. You can pay 2 and a Selesnya hybrid and tap it to put a +1/+1 green and +1/+1, just a 1/1 green-white elf warrior creature token into play. You can also pay 6 mana, 4 and 2 Selesnya hybrids, tap it. For each creature token you control, put a token into play that is a copy of that creature. Do you understand? So this has only been printed like 3 times ever. And as a result, it's keeping a price tag of around $6 to $7.50. Not exactly cheap for this. And it's easy to see why. You know, this can be played in all these like green-white tokens decks and any 3-color tokens decks for the most part as well. It goes in the same deck as, you know, Anointed Procession and Mondrak and all the stuff that doubles your tokens up. You know, Elspeth Stormslayer and all that. So card is just absolutely phenomenal right now. You know, you double your tokens, and in some case that actually means, you know, tripling your tokens, right? Or if you have like whatever the 6 mana white thing is that triples your tokens, right? Like it's just ridiculous with risk. But altogether, 6 mana looks like a bit much for this ability, but it's commander. This is the top of your curve, and you can get it on like turn 4, and you spent the first few turns making tokens, so you're just dumping a ton of value on the play, and you know, and sometimes on the table, and sometimes, you know, you have other ways of getting value off of all of those creatures coming into play at the same time, like impact trimmers effects or card draw effects and stuff. So this is just really, really powerful, and I'm kind of surprised that they haven't printed this more often. As far as 1-drops in Commander goes, this is actually on the short list. You know, this is like the top 25, something like that. Wrist is fantastic. As far as Magic cards go, this is definitely one of them, and one of the best in some ways, especially in its color combination. You really don't see a whole lot of green-white in Commander. If you go to EDHREC right now, you look at the top 10 or top 30 Commanders over the last 2 years, not a whole lot of tokens love, less than you would expect. But when you do see him, Riss is always in there for obvious reasons. So let's give Riss a 7.9. No, that's too high. That's too high. Maybe I'm feeling generous today. I'm going to give Riss a 7.75 and be pretty happy about that. I think, though, that you could fight me on that. I really do think that this could be an even higher score. I think some people are going to think, like, oh, this is like a 6, Dad. What are you talking about? No. Riss is a very powerful Magic card. Very, very powerful Magic card, dude. Next is Nature's Wrath from Alliances. I have not seen you in a long time. This is 6 mana, 4 and 2 green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, sack this thing unless you pay a green mana. Should be easy enough. Whenever a player puts an island or blue permanent onto the battlefield, that player sacrifices an island or blue permanent. Whenever a player puts a swamp or black permanent onto the battlefield, that player sacks a swamp or black permanent. So, woo, that's a pretty fun card. I do not remember the function of this card. I remember the art from back when I was like 12 years old. I remember this art pretty well, but I don't remember this being what the card does. This is actually pretty powerful. Takes out arguably the 2 most powerful colors in Commander. Right? I think if I was going to do a poll right now, what are the most powerful colors in this format? Blue and black would be a close, you know, first and second place. So with that in mind, Nature's Wrath doesn't look half bad. It costs a lot of mana to get into play, but geez, that ain't bad. So Nature's Wrath a bit narrow. I don't love color hosers, but I'm still going to give this a 6. I really am. You know, it's about $2 from Alliances, so someone out there is playing it. Or else it would be like 50 cents. You know what I mean? So really, really cool card. Haven't seen you in a good 25 years or so, buddy. So good to see you again. And it's especially good to see you considering, like, you look okay. You really, the years have been good to you considering Commander's a format now. But next we'll move on to Living Artifacts from the way back, all the way back in Alpha. A single green mana for an Aara that enchants an artifact. Whenever you're dealt damage, put that many vitality counters on this Aara. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may remove a vitality counter from this Aara. If you do, you gain 1 life. So that's not that good. I hate to say, it's just not really that good. If your opponent swings at you and you take 6, then I guess you gain 1 life. This is maybe gain 1 life every turn. Maybe. And it's not just an enchantment that comes down and just sits on the table. That might be a little better. But no, you have to have an artifact to throw this onto. So I guess maybe your Soul Ring or some Mana Rock or something. But, you know, a whole 1 life extra turn or extra life every turn is probably not great unless you're specifically trying to proc life gain abilities. This will help you do that at a relatively low cost, I guess. You know, this is interesting. Put a counter on target artifact for each life you lose, but the Oracle text says put that many vitality counters on this aura rather than the artifact. So they actually changed the way this works, kind of. And that actually might matter in a couple of ways. So I don't know. I just caught that, and I think that's kind of interesting. But anyway, yeah, 1 life a turn is probably not great in most situations. So I'm just going to give this a 3.1 because there may be the odd case where, again, you want some sort of life gain trigger, but there's probably better ways of getting it. Next is Grave Titan. Ooh, buddy, from Magic 2011. Yeah. This is still about $3 from that set, but you can get one from Murder's Commander for 50 cents, which is not a bad price for a Grave Titan. 6 mana, 4 and 2 black for a 6/6 giant with Death Touch. When it enters or attacks, put 2+1, or why am I doing that today? Put 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield. So a total of 10 power when this enters the battlefield. And if it attacks, you get 4 more power, which is just... Grave Titan was the mid-range boss back in the day, dude. Like, just a fantastic card. In like Duels of the Planeswalkers 2014, you could get Grave Titan, and it was just like one of the best cards in the game. Easily, once it's on the table, it's just impossible to deal with. Always wins the game for you. So I got some love for it because of that. But Grave Titan was obviously a good card in Standard while it was first around. It's still cool, man. It's still kind of playable in Commander. It's decent in zombie decks. It's got a great enters trigger for flicker decks and stuff. It's a good reanimation target sometimes. Just all together cool dude, man. I'm going to give Grave Titan a 6. Is that high enough? Is it high enough for a Grave Titan? Remember, we're mostly doing casual Commander here, so even taking into account its history, I don't think you're going to see it too often anymore. So I'm just going to throw a 6 on it. Argue with me. See if it. Let me know if it should be higher. Don't let me know if you think it should be lower. I don't agree. It might be higher. We got Basic Island here with some of my favorite Basic Island art. This Tony Shudlow art. That's really, really good. That's good stuff, Tone. But next is Apocalypse. We actually did this card recently, so I don't have to do it again. But remove all permanents from the game is wild. that's obviously worth $7, right? So there's a reason it's that much. But next is Kasali Pride Mage, originally from Aara Reborn. Yeah. This is 2 mana, green-white for a 2/2 cat wizard with Exalted. So whenever a creature you control attacks by itself, that guy's going to get +1/+1. You can also pay 1 and sack Pride Mage to destroy an artifact or enchantment. This, too, has some sort of relevance in Magic history. You know, this is an important, not only sideboard, but in a lot of cases, main deck card for these, like, green-white... you know, mid-rangey kind of decks for about 2 years there. It was an important like draft card. People really liked this thing for a time back in the day, and I could easily see why. You know, it ain't a bad Magic card at all. And it goes in the Cat Cube. It's already in Cat Cube. We don't have to order it. We've got multiple copies of this bad boy right here. But anyway, Kasali Pride Mage, still a fine Magic card. It still is. You know, it's got multiple sort of effects on it that are good at different points of the game. And it's pretty decent for the rate, too. Just 2 mana for all of this is kind of still looking okay. So I'll give Kasali a 5. This is what I'm looking for in a Magic card, right? The average Magic card should be about this powerful if I'm going to put it into my deck. If I'm going to put a card in my deck, I like for it to be about this strong. This is a good example. But next is Raging Ravine right here. This, or I want it to start it being that strong, I guess. This is originally from World Wake. This is a land that ETB's tapped. You can tap it for a red or a green, or you can pay 4 mana till end of turn. It becomes a 3/3, and whenever it attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So this saw some play when it was first in Standard, when World Wake hit. And it would probably see play in Standard now. You know, if it was one of the only creature lands in Standard, it would probably see some play. You know, I think we actually have one in green-white that's similar to this. Do we have one in green-red that's actually similar to this? I think we might. But anyway, Raging Ravine is a decent creature land. I'm going to give this a 5.1. Basics are a 5, if that tells you anything. I think there's going to be times where a basic is better than this, but you know, if I'm playing Gruul, I would maybe consider throwing a copy. I would. But next is that actually an Onyx Goblet. This is Onyx Goblet. This is 3 mana, 2 and a black for an artifact. Tap it, target player loses 1 life. Very tempting card. You know, yesterday I was talking, maybe it was the day before, I was talking about how Lava Axe is like a Timmy card, but for red players. You know, Timmys love big green creatures, and Lava Axe is a Timmy card for red players. It's big burn spell, you know, ooh, big burn spell. This is kind of a Timmy card for black players that enjoy making other people lose life. I'm a big fan of making other players lose life, and right now I'm thinking like, ooh, like kitchen table 1v1s, like super casual. Put 4 copies of Onyx Goblet in, a bunch of removal spells, and you just kill them with the goblet over like 10 turns. You know, it seems fun. But this is not a good Magic card make. So this is actually pretty bad, all things considered. I'm going to give it a 2.6. I don't even know if it deserves that. I'll give this a 2.2. And I actually think that's being a little bit generous. I wanted to just stop it too. This card's a bit of a trap, to be honest. But next is Sanctum Guardian. We did this one the other day. We just did this one. I remember saying I like the art. Next is, oh, it's Flashfires, baby. It's Flashfires. We've done this one before too here on the series. But obviously this is just a normal color hoser. Nothing to see here. Just blow up all the planes. Pretty good. Pretty okay, you know. Actually, next is Visceras. Nice. Okay, so this is originally from Magic 2011, and it is very, very good. A single black mana for a 1/1 vampire wizard. You can sacrifice a creature and scry 1, and he looks just like Gangrel. Exactly like Gangrel. If you don't know who I'm talking about, here's Gangrel WWE. There he is. There's the boy. So let's look at Gangrel. Let's look at this guy over here. This guy over here, there's more. There's definitely more to kind of prove my point here. Look at this guy. If you would, take a look at this man. This man right here. And then take a look at this creature. Do you see it? Do you see that this is exactly Gangrel? It really is. I'm telling you. Look at him. Look at the guy. Oh, wow. Is that a P? Is that a transparent? A transparent Gangrel. I don't remember that exists. But anyway, somebody's already made that. But anyway, that's him. This is a really, really good Magic card. There's only like one other free repeatable sack outlet that I can think of off the top of my head that only costs 1 mana. And that's a Carrion Feeder. Let me know if you can think of something else. When I say free and repeatable, I don't mean like Witch's Oven, which makes you tap it. You know, this is, I can do it as many times in 1 turn as I want to for free. That's insane. The Scry is maybe good, you know, like I've never even paid attention to the Scry. This has been in my LSO Core Commander deck for like 2 years. Like since LSO Core dropped, this has been in the Commander deck. And you Scry off of it, but you don't care about that. You really do not. You just want the cheapest possible investment that you can make for a free repeatable sack outlet, and that's why this card is powerful. So I'm going to give Visceras a 7.7. I'm going to do that. He deserves it. He really does. This is one of the better sack outlets ever printed. It doesn't have Altar in the name. You know, Phyrexian Altar, Altar of Dementia, Ashnod's Altar. Those are the actual best sack outlets, but Visceras is extremely close. And if you wanted to argue that it's better in some ways, doesn't lead to quite as many like ridiculous combos like Phyrexian Altar does, or Altar of Dementia just wins the game. But a 1 mana repeatable sack outlet is crazy. You don't have a whole lot of options for that in Magic. So 7.7, I'm sticking to it. Next is Mael's Aria from Aara Reborn here. This is 3 mana, Naya colors, green, red, white for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control if you control a creature with power 5 or greater. Then you gain 10 life if a creature you control has power 10 or greater. Then you win the game if a creature you control has power 20 or greater. So, wow. Throw a Colossification on a thing. That gives +20/+20, doesn't it? There's also at least 1 or 2 creatures, I think, in Magic with like 20 power. So that's cute. But this could go in like a +1/+1 counters deck with a lot of, you know, branching evolution kind of effects, hardened scales, stuff like that. Just any deck that throws counters on stuff super fast. This could go in. Mael's Aria, I have seen a couple of times in my life, but never on a commander table, interestingly enough. Just the first ability is pretty good. You know, it's not too hard to have a 5 power dude in a Naya deck. That should be very easy. And just 3 mana for that is okay. But the 10 life is probably really good too. You know, gaining life isn't amazing, but when you talk about 10 life every turn, my God, you know. So, and all you need is like a Progenitus out to make that happen. All you need. So, I don't know. It's pretty neat. You can't, I guess you can't have Progenitus. And, well, maybe you can. It's not like this determines your commander colors, right? But still, this is a really neat card. It's going for 250 from a few different editions right now. Even the Secret Lair drop is only 286, but that's because all they did was like modernize the enchantment frame. Let me know how you feel about the new enchantment frame. Do you like it or do you not? I'm just not sure how I feel about it. But anyway, I like that enchantments just look like normal Magic cards in the past. Like this just looks like a Magic card. It doesn't have to have like a special fancy frame to denote that it's a enchantment. It can just look like a Magic card, and that's fine. I also kind of don't mind the enchantment frames. I'm not trying to like yell at clouds too much. I think that still looks nice. But anyway, yeah, my Elzaria is a fine commander card. I'm gonna give this a 6.5. I think this could go a long way towards, you know, clinching a game up for you. But final card of the day is Spined Sliver over here. We actually just did this sliver. We just looked at you the other day. That's weird. Yeah, Tyler's Tracker's a good card, though. This has been printed a lot. It's 3 mana, 2 and a green for a 3/2 human scout with landfall. Whenever you landfall, investigate. And whenever you sack a clue, put a +1/+1 counter on Tracker. So, all good stuff. Decent landfall ability. A landfall ability that doesn't quite draw a card, but it's really close. Puts a bunch of artifacts into play. You might like that for a number of reasons. And you can sacrifice clues beyond just sacrificing them to draw the cards, right? You can sack them to other effects, and this will still get +1s. So, yeah, decent commander card. There's a reason this has been printed a bunch of times. Just pretty solid green pseudo card draw on a threat that becomes pretty sizable before too long. So, it's great in Standard when it was in Standard, like kind of a sleeper in Standard. No one expected Tyler's Tracker to be that good, but it was. So I'm going to give you a 6.7. Am I? Yeah, 6.7. This still goes in a bunch of Commander decks. And there's a reason for that, dude. There's a reason. Tyler's Tracker is still a good Magic card. So good day today. I had no idea we went that long. 17 and a half minutes. Jeez Louise. I'll see you guys again on Thursday. Bye.